Welcome to the Pump and Dump channel. Today I want to talk again about CNX resources, Antero resources and natural gas. The topic of the video, however, is what does it take to make money in the stock market? And the answer is quite simple. You have to be right and you have to make the right decisions when you are right or wrong. And you can now, of course, go back and look at my videos if you want to get some reference points as to see how the situation evolved. But I'll just give a quick summary for those who probably have not watched them or cannot be bothered to watch them. So back in in June here, I got involved in CNX Resources, a small position. I didn't care too much about it. I didn't follow it as intensely. It kind of bottomed here and then it ran up to here. And I had a smaller position in CNX Resources here, but then I got really bullish on natural gas because I saw, as we went up here into this strong move, and we made this. You can see in this square here that we have this thing. I thought we're just going to continue going higher. And at that point in time, I was looking at getting more exposure to natural gas, and I looked in particular at Antero Resources. I looked at them in more detail. I concluded they had more leverage on the operational side with higher costs of production, and they had more leverage in terms of financial leverage with the higher debt load. So I thought the equity expansion in Antero Resources could be quite significant towards $14 with the rising natural gas price. And I didn't just buy them. I also had EQT, Southwestern, and I still have some Gulfport Energy, unfortunately, but whatever. The key thing is I decided to buy a basket of natural gas producers because I thought that I was right. And we then had this Saudi Arabia news where Saudi Aramco was hit, and they of course are not just an oil producer, but they also produce a lot of natural gas. So this kind of confirmed my thesis, this upward breaking bar. But what it really did was we had down here, of course, this trend line coming up, and then we have this trend line here coming down prior to the attack. What it kind of did, it just like moved that line up here, and you can see like it seems like there's a parallel line where these these prices have been contained by. So we have this triangle forming, and around here I kind of got the sense that I was wrong about the natural gas price going high, especially after this big bar down here. This was on the 19th of September. This was around here. And the key thing is the price of Antero Resources, for example, was higher here than it was here on September the 13th, which was over here on this bar here. And I had built my position from around here, 420 down to 342. I built my position, it rallied up, I eased out a bit. I increased my position as it came back down because I thought we were going higher. And around here, the 20th, I decided I was wrong. I got the feeling that it was not working as I expected. And I had 500 shares here at this point in time. I built my position even as the market was rising. Of course, I was trading up and down as well, so it kind of like moved on to having 500 shares in this range here. And then I came to the conclusion around here, towards the close, that it was not going to work, so I sold 400 here. And on the 23rd I sold the last 100 here at 370 on the open. Of course, that day it went back up to 385, and then it kind of just shed down here to 280. So that's down about 25% from when I sold it. At that point in time, of course, I started buying into CNX Resources. I had 120 shares, I would say. I'm not quite sure anymore. But I bought some 20 more here at 760, and then I bought some more here in the 740s, and then around here, this period here, I started getting really bullish on natural gas because after this head and shoulders that I had identified when it was around here, this head and shoulders, which was of course kind of around when I sold out of my position here on the 23rd, I could see this head and shoulders forming. I remembered that in technical analysis they say that after head and shoulders comes a move down here, and it did happen, and I thought down here at 232 we would find support, and that's kind of when I started buying into natural gas. If you just check here the date, the 30th of September, I started getting in really heavy into natural gas around this area here. And that's kind of into CNX resources, not natural gas, CNX resources. This is kind of where it's at. This is my biggest position in my portfolio. I just have another small position in where's it? Gulfport Energy. It's not on the thing. It's here. The GPOR. Very small position in them, but I have most of my money in CNX resources for natural gas. And you know, it's going sideways here. And if you look at the relative performance, even if I go back to this 760, it's only down like 70 cents, which is about 10% compared to this 25% here. And because I saw I was wrong and I waited for this to happen, I mitigated a lot of the downside, and that's why my average is in the 725 to 730 range at this point in time. So it was, I was wrong about the natural gas price going up here, and I was wrong about the natural gas price going up here. But there's some factors that mitigated the losses that I should have been taking if I'd just been a buy and hold investor. And number one was I was honest enough with myself to admit I was wrong around here, and when it was down here, I was brave enough to start buying in even more because of course, I've been wrong in terms of where the natural gas price bottoms, and these stocks, they kind of reflect the performance in the natural gas on a daily basis. But I kind of chose the right instrument. CNX Resources is less leveraged, as mentioned previously. I got into Antero Resources and those other ones because of the leverage on the financial side and the operating costs. And that kind of was a strategy that would have been valid for here for us to continue going higher as I expected, and that didn't materialize. And at this point in time here, the market was still bullish on natural gas, and they were bidding the price up to unreasonable levels, in my opinion, and therefore I had to kind of get out. And when I did, and it came down here, I was proven right in this small section here, but I was proven wrong about the price here, and I was proven wrong again about the price here. And now we're getting to this point here where I think the next support is, and I really do think that we will actually hold this downward trend is at this 223 level because of this triangle here. And the RSI line here is at the same level it was back here in August 5th at the low. So we are kind of at this point in time getting to here, and the question of whether I'm going to make a bunch of money in CNX Resources is really contingent on me being right about this 223 holding tomorrow. If we break significantly below over the next 2 days, then I'm going to lose money, of course, because even though it's undervalued, I have a valuation in the $9 range for CNX Resources, because even if I'm wrong, if I am wrong, and natural gas price breaks below, the sentiment will drag this stock even lower than it is now, and the fair value of it as well. So it's not just a question about like if the natural gas price does break down and the stock breaks down with it, it's not just a question of holding because it's worth more. You kind of have to adapt and go with the market. My strategy is still the same, it's unchanged, and remember, this is not investment advice or recommendations for you to do the same, but for me, I'm really betting on it holding here at this 223 level, and I think it's going to seesaw between these lines, because a friend of mine told me a long time ago that when you have a triangle, a symmetrical triangle like this, especially a symmetrical one, the price will seesaw between them until they get 75% of the way, which would probably be from this point here, 75% towards the tip, which kind of coincides with where approximately the Q3 earnings report will come out on the 29th of October. So I'm kind of betting on the natural gas price holding and being between here and the market realizing that CNX Resources is very undervalued around the 29th of October. And whether the natural gas price is at the upper bound or the lower bound or in the middle doesn't really matter. If we can stop continuing this downtrend, there is a very high chance that at that point in time the stock price will be much higher, and then I'll be proven right, and if I make the right decision to sell at the right point, then I will make a bunch of money if of course I'm just right about it and I don't sell, and then the natural gas price breaks to the low side, breaks down, then I'm going to still get destroyed. So you kind of have to be right, and you have to make the right decision. This is what it comes down to investing, and this is why so many people succeed and so many people, well, not so many succeed, so many don't succeed, and why so few do succeed, because it's it's easy when you buy something and it goes up 20% over a week or so, and you feel great about yourself, and you kind of don't know why it went up, but you just think that you were a genius, and you just hold it, and then it comes right back down and gives you like a kick in the teeth, and at that point in time you know that you don't know anything at all, and that you're not that smart after all. So this is kind of where it's at for now, for this update on CNX resources and natural gas. Also, my opinion on how to make money in the stock market is the only way to make it is being right, not just finding undervalued stocks, because as mentioned, I think in previous videos I mentioned this maybe, that if you buy something that's undervalued below its intrinsic value, and whatever the driver of the stock is going down, not only the price will go down with that, but the intrinsic value will go down with it too. So that's kind of where it's at. Don't know what more to say. Leave your comments in the comments section. You can share your opinion. You can also ask questions. And don't forget to subscribe, and have a good day.